Good morning and welcome to Adrenalin Thought Leadership webinar series. I hope you're all doing well this fine Wednesday morning. Adrenalin eSystems Limited prides itself in being the leader in the HR tech space. The past year has shown the increasingly important role that HR is playing as a function, also becoming an integral player in business strategy and decisions. And we're all about having conversations around this new role play. To this effect, Adrenalin hosts thought leadership webinars where we invite stalwarts to share their thoughts and working models on current trends, which will greatly benefit not only the community but also organizations. Today we have with us Mr. Satish Ramanan. Good morning, sir. How are you?
Good morning, Estrella. Good, I'm good, doing good.
Right. So Mr. Satish Ramanan is a Senior Vice President and Global Head of Digital Transformation at Onward Technologies Limited. To speak a few words about him, he is a results-driven business leader with over 32 years of industry experience, primarily in the IT consulting and services and financial services verticals. Being adept at business transformation, change management, and people management, he has also managed P&Ls and led global diverse teams of sales and pre-sales managers, solution architects, business and industry SMEs, and consultants with proven ability to oversee all aspects of technology services and consulting business, including strategy, sales and business development, customer and stakeholder relationship management, and ODC operations. Satish has also been successful in automating business processes, creating value for customers, managing change, engaging human capital effectively, driving profitability and long-term growth in several organizations he's worked for and customer projects he's managed. I can think of no other perfect person to talk about digital transformation leading to business transformation, the title of today's session. So attendees, I hope you will have a wonderful session. If you have any questions along the way, kindly add them in the questions or the chat window in your right panel, and we will address it towards the end of the session. So please keep the questions coming when and where you feel like asking questions. We'll address it towards the end of the session. Satish, the session is all yours. Please take it away.
Thank you so much, Estrella, for that nice introduction. I've done a lot, but yeah, I still continue to learn because that's going to be key for all of us as we move into the new normal. Hopefully, everybody is safe and getting back to work. And I know it's been a very difficult 12 to 18 months for everybody. So let's think everybody gets a lot of opportunity to grow and do well in their careers. So without any further ado, I'll just start off by saying that, you know, this topic that is there is kind of a very intriguing topic because, you know, the first thing that comes to mind when people do this, you know, any transformation journey is, you know, disruption, right? We have so many, I'll just move on, yeah. So many, you know, things that come into play when we talk about transformation, right? So the forewarning that I would like to make sure that everybody understands is the fact that, you know, there's going to be a lot of disruption ahead. It's not going to be straight. It's not going to be easy. And the road is filled with a lot of hurdles. So be prepared, right? That's the way I would like to start this. And then when we talk about digital transformation leading to business transformation, what's the thing that happened first, right? I mean, is it the technology disruptions that have forced everybody to transform their businesses? Is it a chicken and egg versus egg situation, or is it the business transformation needs that have compelled technology organizations to change the way they do business and the way they provide technology solutions to businesses, right? So it's always going to be a battle here, and there's no straight answer to it. But I think, as we move along, some of these things may get clear. And at the end of the day, it's very evident that we need to transform the business, especially because we are in a new normal. A lot of things have changed in the past 12 to 18 months, and we need to make sure that we are able to scale up, step up, and work and compete in the new world that's going to be full of opportunities and also a lot of threats as well, right? I would like to start off with small kind of quiz. If you may, I'm sure everybody knows about UPS. UPS is, everybody knows it as a logistics and supply chain company doing a lot of deliveries worldwide. So, it's very fascinating to know that UPS is calling themselves now a technology organization, right? They are using cutting edge technology for a lot of things that they do, and it'll be interesting to know what happened. And I'm sure some of you may already know this, but it's important that we run through what happened at UPS. And this happened several years ago, and today UPS is very proud to say that they are a technology company rather than a logistics company. I'm going to make it a bit of a fun learning session. So a bit of interaction. Request all of you to put on the chat. I'm going to throw this up for some questions and see if you guys know some of these things, so it will become a bit more interesting. Can you guys see my screen with the points in red?
Yes.
Yeah. So why don't you guys take a stab at what these things are, and then I'll open it one by one. You can put it on the chat box if you have, or I think that's the best way to do it, because that way you'll get an idea of what each of these things are. 15 trillion to begin with, right? Any takers for attempting what these things are? There are 7 very important metrics that came out of the transformation journey that UPS did. And I'll start off by, while you guys do that on the chat, if you have the knowledge of some of these, I'll start sharing some of these things with you. 15 trillion is the number of route combinations for 25 packages that UPS had, right? 15 trillion route combinations for delivering 25 packages. That was the options that they had. So how do you actually select a route? How do you make sure that you're using efficiency, you're using optimization techniques, and making sure that you select the right route combination, right? So that was the hurdle or the business problem that they were trying to resolve, and they did a lot of digital and data analytics. 85 million, if some of you may have got that, is the number of miles saved by analytics. They did so much of data analytics and understood the routes, and they actually ended up saving 85 million miles using analytics. And that's not just the savings in cost of transportation and fuel, but it also added to the economy, right? I mean, the environment. So the efficiency gains were not just for the company, but also for society and for the environment as a whole. 30 million was the 1 additional mile per driver cost per year. So the amount that they would have saved, just imagine how much it would have been, because the number of miles that they saved is 85 million. And if they had actually even done one additional mile per driver cost every year, that would have cost them an additional 30 million. So they started saving that kind of money in their business. 16 million is the number of deliveries they did per day, right? And there are some more interesting facts that I thought I'll just bring it up, which is the fact that every, the delivery guy who's doing this delivery was very clearly told that please make sure that you put the keys of the delivery van on your right side back pocket, so that you don't end up searching for it when you're coming back to the truck, right? That's some amazing kind of thought process and innovation that they brought along, right? 55,000, any guesses, is the number of vehicles, right? Fleet vans that they had. And imagine that would mean so many drivers, and all of them following the fact that following the rule that you keep your keys on the right hand side back pocket of your trousers, because then you don't have to search. You'll always be able to find it there. You won't keep it somewhere else and then start searching for it. Many times it happens to all of us, right? I mean, we take the car keys and then we try to see where it is. It's in the front pocket, back pocket, in your bag, in your jacket, and then you lose time. So that's the kind of steps that they took to improve the efficiency. And over and above that, they also wanted to make sure that they knock on the doors. They don't ring the bell. Even if they ring the bell, they also knock, because that would allow them to make sure that even if there is a power outage in the place that they deliver, they will be able to manage that and not get delayed, because people, when you ring the bell and it doesn't ring inside, people may take time to come and open the door because they have not heard anything.
Satish, I think, yeah. Satish, we can't hear you.
They put a best practices manual based on all the work that they did. And it was so interesting and so elaborate that they had 74 pages in their best practices manual. And the final one, 30, is, the max inches to move to the next package. So when they kept all of their boxes or packages within the vehicle or the fleet van, the way in which they stacked all of those delivery packages or boxes was also making sure that the space within that van is used optimally. So the way in which they stacked their boxes would have been based on the size and volume of those boxes, and the mandate was make sure that you don't have to move more than 30 inches to pick up the next package, right? The distance should not be too long. I mean, you can't have a package that you're delivering first at the end. So a lot of those things were thought through and done, and when they came out, they came out so successful that it was like one of the most interesting cases that I have come across ever in my life. So this is something that is fantastic in terms of outcomes of a transformation journey that UPS went through. It took them several years. There was a lot of disruption, as I said earlier, and it's not going to be easy by any means for any company. The other couple of things that I wanted to talk about is, the way business transformation has taken place, the way digital transformation is driving the nature of the businesses. You have one of the largest vacation or staycation companies in the world, Airbnb, without owning a single property, right? They have become, so huge and so big. You have started using a lot of Airbnb worldwide, and they don't even own any of the properties that they give out on rent. So that's another example. And then you have one of the largest transportation companies in the world, Uber, which is not owning any fleets or cars. Without owning them, they became so big that it's fascinating the kind of journeys that they took. I mean, obviously there are a lot of changes to that right now. There would have been different business models, but that's how they started, right? And that was the most intriguing and fascinating ways in which digital transformation has transformed businesses, the use of technology. And we still, it would be interesting to deep dive into these cases and these companies to understand what drove what, right? Whether it was the need to transform the business that drove the technology and the digital transformation, or was it the demanding customers? I mean, every day we are demanding, right? We are demanding a lot of things from our service providers and the suppliers that as customers or consumers we are all working with. So one thing is very evident, that the disruption is all over the place. It's going to not be easy, as I said before. Let's take a look at what those drivers are, right? The disruption drivers. I think the most important and the most primary, driver is going to be the need for speed, right? I mean, we can't take our own sweet time to do this. The world is changing fast. Everything is happening at a pace at which we've never seen before. The changes in technology, solutions, and the kind of the technologies that are coming into play, the programming languages, the applications, the cloud, everything that's coming into play, you need to be fast at doing this. You cannot, look at it, as a project which is going on and on. There has to be, a need for speed, so to say. Global socialization, right? I mean, I think every organization, the moment it is spread across multiple locations, you need to make sure that everybody, is coming in, right? It's all in. You have to make sure that your teams across the board are you're socializing the plan with everyone across the board. The community is aware of it, because there could be a lot of impact on the social side of things. Communication is huge. So it's an aspect that is a very important disruption driver. Until and if you do this right, then you get a lot of support across the board. Efficiency and optimization. There's a lot of multitasking that is required. There's a lot of efficiencies to be gained, optimization to be, processes to be improved and optimized as much as possible. People have to start learning, upskilling, reskilling. All of these are very critical, if you want to gain the or reap the benefits of a transformation journey. And the moment you start, you will see, right from day one, that this is going to be critical. So everybody should start participating in it. And, right from the top, the CEO and the leadership team and all the different function heads and their teams will have to step up to improve efficiencies across the board. And the most important aspect is obviously people, right? Many of us, who've been there for so many decades would have seen the change in the millennials, right? I mean, the folks we are hiring across the board who are, under 2 or under 5 years of experience. The kind of technical acumen that they have, right? It's amazing to see that these folks are so much into into digital and into technology, that if we don't have them in our mix of a winning combination of teams across the board, you may actually lose out, right? It's important for us to understand this and to make sure that we include them in all our plans, hiring plans, skilling and upskilling plans, and make sure that we kind of leverage the strengths that they bring to the table, right? A lot of us have been working in various functions and in different processes with specific skill sets, or some of us have gained new skill sets. But the kind of flexibility that the millennials bring to the table is very interesting and very unheard of. So that's something that we should keep in mind as we move along. And these are some of the things that are the most important drivers for the disruption. And if you look at everything holistically, then you can build a plan that's going to be pretty foolproof and pretty solid, and you can look forward to reaping the benefits of a transformation journey, both on the business side as well as how you move from IT to digital. At this point, I'd like to just quickly move into another interesting case, and that's of Adobe, right? I think I have again a set of points that I'll share with you all, and if folks have any ideas of what those would be, you can feel free to use the chat box, and then we'll see how we can answer those questions. So Adobe, obviously, a very simple thing. The first thing that is there is 1982. So this was the year that they were founded, right? It's amazing how their journey happened right from the beginning. And it was a couple of folks from Xerox R&D that moved and founded Adobe. 3.4 billion is the acquisition that they did in 2005 in an all-stock deal. Macromedia Flash Player, many of you may know that this was a very good tool that most of us may have used in the early 2000s, in the earlier part of this decade. And then that was one of the biggest acquisitions that they did in an all-stock transaction. Then 3.2 billion is the revenues in 2007, and this is when Shantanu Narayan was elevated to the post of CEO. He had been in the company, and he came at the helm as CEO, and he took over a business that was not doing very well, actually. There was a lot of challenges. They had a lot of their software that was supposed to be very pricey. I think the initial price point was some $6,500 or something, and they had worked with IBM, and then it became very expensive for people to afford that kind of software, and it started going down southbound, the business. And Shantanu Narayan was at the helm, and when he took over, he started looking at so many things together. And he made a very important call, and that the 1.8 billion that you see there is another acquisition of Omniture, which was a software as a service company, and he acquired that at a 24% premium, right? And this was in 2009, 2 years after he took over as CEO. And guess what? That got so much of flack that people were asking, do you even know what you're doing? And so much of resistance across the board, stock markets, everywhere. And what was critical there, and what was important to understand there was, when we say software as a service, it's obviously on the cloud, right? And this was in 2009. I mean, I have been in the digital space for so many years. I mean, cloud and online was not even, very important or considered as relevant or important at that time. But he had the foresight and the vision, and he started off with this because the software that they provided was in line with what Adobe provided as software for a lot of companies in the US. It was actually considered as the second largest software company after Microsoft at one point. But this and many of these things, started bringing them down and pulling them down. This acquisition, however, laid the path for a whole lot of new things that happened in the company. But not before, the disruption and all the turbulence happened, right? 60%, guess what, is the fall in share price in 2010, right? From, the past 6 months or 1 year, the share prices fell 60% in 2010 and it hit a 52-week low. And, that got more, eyeballs than anything else. And everybody was kind of ruling out the fact that this company will even survive. And again, this is the time when they launched their plan to move to Creative Cloud, and they started subscription-based pricing, right? Which was on the back of what Omniture was. I mean, Omniture, although they acquired the company, they never merged it into the whole, big entity that they had. They kept it running as an independent division or a department or a business unit, and that paid off well because now the entire organization started adopting that strategy. All of Adobe's products were available on the cloud now, and from a crazy high-priced, perpetual licensing model, they moved into a subscription-based pricing for some $40-50, and you pay in advance. So that became so much more affordable that the subscriptions or the licenses acquisitions hit the roof. I mean, they suddenly had more than 500 million subscribers in a very short span of time, and that helped them hit a huge spike in the business, moving into digital, moving into the cloud, and changing their pricing model to subscription based. And 4.4 billion was the revenues in 2012, with 25% of it becoming recurring revenues because of subscription based pricing, right? So moving into 2013, they already had 1.1 billion ready with them. It was going to be anyway in the bag already, right? So from 2007 to 2012, in 5 years, this was the transformation that happened at Adobe. And it's again an amazing case study, that you guys can look up and learn more about. And today, I mean, in 2020, just imagine this, the revenues are 12.9 billion, right? So 300% growth in the subsequent 8 years after 2012. And now recently, I think they acquired Workfront for 1.5 billion.
Satish, I think you're sort of frozen. Can you hear me? Satish, can you hear me? A few minutes. I
A few
think that
minutes.
technical difficulty.
Can you hear me?
Yes, yes.
Adrenalin?
Now I can. Yes, yes.
Yes, yes. Yes, yes.
Okay. Um, can everyone see my slides too?
Yes, yes, Satish.
Yes, yes,
Perfect.
Satish.
Okay.
Perfect.
Okay. Sorry about that. I think that just the connection just dropped. It's a bit crazy sometimes.
No problem.
So what are the success mantras? I mean, I'll continue from where I left off. Any questions so far, SNL? Are there any points that people wanted to ask or any doubts?
No questions so far, but then we've been
No
getting
questions so far, but then we
all your cases, the numbers. People have been responding to that.
Okay, wonderful. Thanks everyone for that. I'll continue. So what are the success mantras, right? Some important things that we need to keep in mind. The most important and the first one that I want to talk about is the executive sponsorship, right? I mean, sponsorship from the top is a must. It's a transformation journey for the organization. It needs to, get sponsorship at the highest levels, not the leadership team, not the second line, or not the senior management, but at the highest level in the organization. We need to define what our long-term strategic objective is or objectives are, and communicate a very clear list of goals and objectives to the entire organization before the journey starts, and identify all the stakeholders across all functions and teams, because it will touch upon every department, every business function that you have, and everybody needs to be involved, and the stakeholders have to be participating in this journey. So it's very important that how a CEO perceives this. There has to be a seemingly impossible but an ambitious target kept there for the leadership team. Everybody needs to be involved, and that's the way there has to be conviction with the CEO about making sure that the business has to be transformed, and then all of this will happen, because unless it's not starting from the top, you may face a lot of challenges along the way, and it may get disrupted or even shelved very soon. So very critical that we all understand this aspect of executive sponsorship, and make sure that when we talk to our customers or when we are involved internally within our own organizations, we are getting that support at the highest level, and that's where it starts, right? So that's a very important aspect. So to ensure that your transformation journey is successful. Second is the fact that it's change. It's all about change, right? Everything is going to change in the organization. What we've been doing so far doesn't matter, may even become irrelevant in many cases. And it's very critical that you get ready to manage all the change that happens throughout the organization. The vision has to be clear, and what's in it for you, right? What's in it for us? What's in it for the finance team? What's in it for the HR team? What's in it for the business? Everything has to be clear, and it has to be communicated, because it has to be not only just communicated at the beginning, but the communication needs to continue throughout the entire journey, right? I mean, there has to be a lot of information that needs to be shared. People need to be made aware. Create that awareness in a very positive way, and if you can identify some early adopters and create evangelists in your organization and in your teams, that becomes a much more easier journey then. You've done a pilot, you've seen the benefits, you share some of that information, and then make sure that there's joint accountability. And in our organization, we are going through a digital transformation, but I'm just the HR transformation that has to motivate all the achievers. So all of this involves a lot of change. There may be certain things that you may have been doing, but you may have to do it differently. There may be a lot of things that you may not have been doing in the past, which you need to introduce. And you need to make sure that all of this happens in a very synchronized manner, right? So change management is the hardest thing for every organization. And if it's not done well, then it can not just disrupt, but also derail the whole transformation journey, because you've already decided or already spent a lot of effort and time and money right from the top. So you need to make sure that change is managed very well to make the journey successful. That's one important thing. The next is how do you make sure that your organization is digital ready, right? Skills and competency development, I cannot emphasize enough. There's a lot of things that are happening, right? And if you see, in April 2021 alone, there was about 19 million people who quit their jobs. 19 million in the US, right? And many companies have no clue what's happening. I mean, we are facing that even in India, right? I mean, it's not that it's not everywhere, it's happening everywhere. And so many people are quitting and changing jobs, and people have 2, 3, 5 offers in hand, and they don't join you, and the salaries are going through the roof, and you're starting to pay crazy money for juniors with 2, 3, 5, 8 years of experience, and it's becoming so difficult. Now, is it the great attrition? Are organizations not able to figure out? I'm sure many of us in the leadership level, many organizations are not able to figure out what's going on, and you may end up calling it the great attrition. But if you spend the time and effort and dig into it and understand what employees are going through, everybody is tired now. Employees are very tired, and many of them are grieving too, right? I mean, I think the last 18 months has been very difficult for every one of us. I mean, there's no exception at all. We've been trying to do things that we've never done before, and the pandemic has hit every family almost. Every friend, every one of us on this call may have a friend, relative, a close one, a near one, a dear one who may have suffered, and many of us have lost our near and dear ones, and it has become so difficult that employees are tired. They are looking at anything that you do as a transaction, not as a real emotional support interaction, right? How do you make it more human? How do you make sure that you understand the problems that people are going through and make sure that you are able to address those challenges? So it can, McKinsey said it very beautifully that are you looking at it as the great attrition or the great attraction? If you start digging in and if you uncover all those things that are causing challenges to your people. I mean, our organization is a 2,300 strong organization. There are organizations at 50, 100 people. There are organizations at 500, 500,000 people, or 100,000 to 500,000 people. How do you do this? There's no straight answer to it. It's still, being researched. Many companies are into it, trying to understand what's happening. But you can actually make it or term it as the great attrition, or if you do all that is necessary to stem the rot and to help employees get back and look at everything in a more meaningful way, make sure that you help them redefine or help them understand the purpose of what they are out to do. Because at the end of the day, many people have lost jobs as well, right? I mean, if you have a job still, you're one of those lucky people. But then we are all so tired, and the energy is gone, and we've been online for so long that it becomes very difficult, and it's easy. We can't blame anybody for it. I mean, it's human, right? We are all human beings. So how do you translate or make it not a great attrition, and transform it through your organizations, HR teams, and other teams, and convert it into a great attraction? How do you attract people? The next gen, as I said, the millennials, right? The next gen millennials are the ones you have to have on your team. There's no choice. I mean, these are the guys who will actually do a lot of good as they start influencing and working with other team members. They will learn for sure, but they'll also let many of us learn. Many of us with gray hair learn and start try to adapt, right? I mean, this is not the time for saying that I love doing this in the past. You know, this is not something that I can bite. I mean, even our grand have started using smartphones, and they love WhatsApp. They have adapted to it. They have adopted it, right? They love to see the videos. Their grandchildren in the US or elsewhere, they love to see videos on YouTube, on Facebook. I mean, it's amazing how this change has happened. So we need those millennials with us. We need them to influence us. We need them to help us get better. All the folks who've been in the company for years together, and at the same time, we'll also help them learn. They may not come with everything, but they definitely know a lot of things that we don't. So they have to be in the hiring mix, right? And then continuous training, reskilling for all the people in the company, right? Even the millennials may come in with 2-3 skills. How do you cross train them? You know, I spent time in software companies in CRM and data warehousing like Teradata and Siebel systems, and it's very important that the training is happening on things that are relevant, right? There was a time when we used to hire a Teradata database administrator. Then you used to hire an ETL team for doing all the data transformations and data integrations, and there is an ETL administrator in play. And then you had BI and visualization tools for which you needed a BI administrator, right? All of those things have been now collapsed and combined into one skill set. You call them as data engineers. So how do you make sure that all this transformation you're ready, and you upgrade the skills, you reskill folks, you make sure that they are having skills and competencies in the latest technologies, and also in the way the technologies have changed, and the demand for people is to have multiple skill sets. That's very critical for all of us to understand. And then create role models. Talk about the people who've done something amazing, who you never expected to have adopted something digital. Like how we get thrilled when our grandparents or parents, older folks, start using some tools, and you're somewhere in a remote location or abroad, and you get a call from your grandmother or mother for the first time, a video call, and you're thrilled, right? Oh, you've learned it, and we get so excited about it. So that's how you make sure that you create some role models and talk about them in the organization, and build a culture of learning. I mean, everybody has to learn. I mean, there's no way out. We are not going to know everything that is needed as we transform the business, as we transform the organization, and as we transform and we use new technologies that will catapult our growth in the organization. So we have to be a digital ready organization, and skills is going to be the most critical aspect of this part. Next is continuous innovation. Sorry, just a moment. Cyrilla, how are we doing on time? I just wanted to do a quick check.
We can maybe do another 5 to 7 minutes, and then we can move on to the Q&A.
Okay. So continuous innovation is another area that there is no option but to innovate, and it has to be continuous. Start looking at building a culture of innovation, because many things that we have to adopt are going to be new for us. So how do we innovate and don't try to put the old wine in a new bottle, right? So to say, start looking and thinking at how to uncover or discover new ways of working, how to encourage research, encourage research a lot, support fail fast attempts, don't throw them under the bus. There's going to be a lot of things that don't work. Make sure that we are able to move on, support those attempts at innovation and trying to do things in a different way, and make sure that you hunt down all the process improvements and efficiencies that are hidden, and in everything that you do, hunt them down. There has to be a better way. I mean, today we are doing invoicing, and it takes X number of hours and X number of days and 13 people to do it, how do you make it better? How do you make sure that all of this is, go through those processes and understand the process, break it down, and then efficiencies. And obviously, the new novel, the hybrid working model has come to stay. I mean, it's not going to go away. Organizations who try to enforce rules of getting back 100% may find it difficult. Not that it's not going to work. It's not that that's not the way to work. But hybrid working models are here to stay. Employees need that time working from home. They're used to it over the last 2 years. So you need to find out a midway that will help both the organization and the employee. So this is, something that everybody needs to understand and recognize. And then finally, define and measure, right? How do you make sure that second. Oops. Can you see my screen?
Yes, Satish.
Okay, because it's saying screen sharing is now paused, so I was not sure. Finally, define and measure, folks. How do you define measures that are aligned to the strategic transformation objectives, digital transformation objectives, business transformation objectives, and then how do you capture and share those metrics, right, regularly? Make sure that you have teams that are capturing what happened before the transformation and what happened after the transformation. How did you improve a process that took you so much of effort hours or cost, and what is it today, right? We are talking about reports and dashboards that are going to help in decision making being available at the click of a button when teams were working on it for 3 days and 3 or 4 people working on it for 3 full days, right? And then getting that information out to the management. How do you solicit continuous feedback and objective feedback? Don't make it too difficult, but make it very easy for people to give feedback. And then you can start new.
I think your PPT paused because we can't see the last slide that you're talking about.
Okay, 1 second now. Can you see it now?
Yes, perfect.
Yes, perfect.
Okay, sorry about that. Yeah, I was seeing some message here, so I was not sure. Yeah, so I was saying launch, new rewards and recognitions programs, upgrade the ones that you have, make sure that, everybody is recognized for all the efforts that they've put in. And then there will be a lot of intangible benefits, right? A lot of new things that come along the way. Like in the case of UPS, they saved a lot of money on the miles that they saved, but at the same time, it also helped the environment. So make sure that you capture all of those intangible benefits along the way and make it worth your while, and then celebrate all the successes for sure. So I think that's about it from me. I really appreciate all of you taking the time to hear me on this. I will now, Estrella, I'm ready to take questions, open the session for Q&A.
So, okay, so we had some questions coming in.
Sure.
All right. So we know the technology disruptions are so frequent and fast nowadays. When an organization plans for digital transformation, it takes time with sponsorship, execution, change management, etc. And by the time we complete it, another disruption has already started. How can companies deal with such dynamic changes in technology?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a very important point that that you raised. I think it's very critical that we understand this aspect, right? We should be ready to adopt or identify systems and applications that are scalable. And it's a classic example of what even we are facing today. There are systems that may not be scalable. How do you identify that? Obviously, there are a lot of leaders in the space. So out of 7 different applications, 3 are from Microsoft in our organization, for example. and the kind of changes that are coming about, you may actually see that it's very difficult to make some of those changes. So I think the most important way to address that situation is to make sure that at the beginning, when you're planning your journey and all the planning is done and the identification of all the different technologies are made, make sure that these are technologies that have proved themselves in the past and have been scalable and support the kind of changes that happen, right? I mean, cloud is a classic example. I mean, I think there's a lot of ways in which the cloud was existing in the past, but the way it is now with so many players, we always had a ability to deploy an application over the web. We used to call it over the web, right? But it was still an on-premise solution. But the way a cloud has transformed is that you don't need to own any application. You don't need to own any on-premise hardware and infrastructure. You can actually have everything on the cloud. I mean, for our organization, the organization that we work have made sure that we don't end up spending on infrastructure, because we are a technology services company, and we don't want to build a huge IT team now and support teams. We may as well go with cloud technologies and have all our applications on the cloud available. So the support comes with it, the SLAs, the uptime, everything is taken care of, and any changes or new areas that are covered are happening along the way. So that's a thing that you will have to take up initially itself, and make sure that you're convinced with your team and your leadership team and your CIO or CDO who's leading the effort. But having said that, it is still possible that you may end up having to make some changes along the way. So plan for those improvements or changes along the way. We've done that, and we want to make sure that if it doesn't work, you have to maybe take a course correction at some point. But yeah, if you plan it ahead, then there are chances of making sure that it doesn't disrupt the journey for you.
Okay. Do you think the great attrition is offering companies a chance to relook their learning management practices?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a combination of a lot of things. It's not just learning management, it's also understanding the psyche of individuals, of employees after what they have gone through. Every employee is looking for a more meaningful engagement, right? I mean, I think especially after the pandemic, they are looking for, they're wanting to be appreciated, and it's not at the top, right? I mean, this happens. This has to be the KRA for every manager in the company. Everybody who has teams under them should be made aware of this, should be able to understand their team's issues, challenges, and bring it up in a manner that then can be addressed by the HR organization or by the company overall. I think it is there's a lot. It's learning is definitely there. It's for those who are always wanting to keep their skills upgraded. One of the most important things that we have been also looking at is how do you make it a self-motivated engagement, right? Learning particularly. How do you make sure that everybody is self-motivated to learn and to learn new skills, to learn new technologies? It's not easy, but yeah, that's the way it should be, because you cannot force everybody to learn, right? I mean, it has to be something that coming from within. It is every employee's responsibility. That's why I was saying it is all in. Everybody in the organization should own it up and be responsible. And only when you're responsible and you're accountable and owning it, then will you have that self-motivation to learn. It's very similar to how we started using those keypad phones, and now we're using smartphones, and you're learning along the way, right? So all of us have to inculcate that habit of learning, and the great attrition then can become a great attraction for you. But it's I would say a lot more than just the learning aspects of what employees are looking for.
Right. How important is a consultancy firm? Sorry, how important? I'm just trying to rephrase the question. Sorry. how important is a consultant firm? Does it play? I mean, what important role does a consultancy firm play if they are hired for a digital transformation?
Great question. I think, when we do the executive sponsorship, and we look at the leadership team and identify the leaders who are going to be participating in this, the need for a consulting firm may arise, right? If we are not able to cover all aspects of what is needed in a digital transformation journey, that will help us transform the business. And that is not a problem. That is not a bad thing. It's better that you lean on the experts to come in and help us along the way, and at least put the blueprint for you or the plan for you upfront, and then you execute to that plan. So that's a great way to ensure that everybody signs up for it, everybody is involved, and it will be most critical that you take that route if you think that there's going to be there are gaps in the leadership team and other teams knowledge and understanding of how we go about doing this. Many organizations are resorting to that, as long as you have a budget and you have proof of the pudding that this consultant or a consulting company is going to help you with that for sure, and it doesn't become another exercise wherein you spend a lot of time and effort and then you don't get the desired results. I think it's a very good way of engaging a consultant. I mean, it's a good option for you to embark upon your digital transformation journey using a consultant.
Right. We'll take one final question now. Vipin, he's asked a question. I think his organization is a very small organization. So he said, a small company like us, how can we afford digital transformation for a small company like us? We are thinking of starting with Google Workspace, but what is your opinion on this?
I mean, I think the good part about all the technology disruption that has happened is that size doesn't matter, right? I think there are options, so many options available. Google Workspace, or you go to Microsoft, the cloud-based or the subscription-based pricing, everything is available today. So I think it's a great step. You should start your journey when you're young. When you're small, I think that will help everyone get ready from the beginning itself. And as you grow, it'll make it so much more easier for you as an organization well in every aspect of your business. So I would say go for it, and start exploring all the options that you have. There's a lot of options out there for different things that you do. I mean, we've engaged, when we did started our digital transformation journey in the organization that I'm working, we were very price conscious, right? I mean, we got a lot of options that were fitting within our budget, and there were several options that were not fitting within our budget. So you need to take a call and make sure that you engage with those kind of solutions or use those kind of technologies that you can live with and work with at least for the next 3 or 5 years, right? And if you do that, then I think that's going to be a great way to start off. But yeah, don't delay it. I think if you're thinking of starting it right away for a small organization, that would be a great way to ensure that you're able to scale up as you grow.
Okay. All right. So thank you so much, Satish, on behalf of Adrenalin, for taking the time out today to talk us through the process of digital and business transformation. Great examples with UPS and Adobe, beautifully explained, and thank you for also engaging with the attendees. Attendees, I hope you found this session really useful, and I hope you can carry this back to your organizations. And also, finally, thank you so much for being an amazing audience, for being very interactive. I could see all the answers coming in, and There's a short survey that will launch soon after the webinar ends. Take a minute to answer it because it will help us greatly to curate more such webinars like the one you just saw today. We talk about a lot of topics under the HR umbrella, not just the HR umbrella, even in tech and anything that might come in handy for organizations as we move forward into a hybrid mode of work. And thank you again. Watch out for more thought leadership webinars powered by Adrenalin. Thank you and stay safe.
Thank you. Thanks very much.